Howdy everybody. Well, thanks again for coming to my YouTube channel and watching another video. I hope my videos have been informative. I'm still learning, but yeah, and if you like my videos, be glad to leave a comment. Subscribe to my channel if you want to. But anyway, I'm going to talk about my AVX mount. Like I posted in one of my other videos on the AVX mount, I had mentioned that I was possibly going to get another OTA. And I did some searching on the internet, and the OTA that I actually ended up getting sold as a set with the AVX mount. So I know that the AVX mount should be able to handle the weight of the OTA plus my camera and guide scope, and everything should work on it fine. Now the reason I got the scope that I did was because the larger scope of the same style is too heavy, and of course the smaller scopes than the one I've got are not quite the millimeter and focal length that I wanted, because I want to do some planetary imaging and actually get some of the smaller deep sky objects possibly in with some pictures, and being able just to see them, just to view what I can view with the naked eye. Mine is the older AVX mount, and it's got a single dovetail saddle that holds the Vixen dovetail bars. And the newer AVX mounts have a dual saddle to hold the Vixen dovetail bars and the CGE dovetail bars, which are the larger dovetails on telescopes, which happens to be the size of the dovetail on the new scope I got. Well, the new scope I got is the Celestron 9.25 Celestron Edge HD. And as you can tell, the dovetail is the larger CGE dovetail, and it just does not fit on this tripod head with the old AVX style with the single dovetail. I did some checking online, and I found that the ADM makes a dual dovetail with the Vixen size and the CGE size dovetail. It's a dual dovetail, and it's actually designed to replace the mounting bracket on the AVX. There's 4 bolts in the AVX that you take out, and then you separate the collar from the mount, from the dovetail, and then you put the collar on, tighten it down with the 4 original screws, and then you screw the dovetail back onto the collar. And I'm going to swap them out, and I'll show you the steps it takes to do that with. So let's see how that progresses. Alright, for our operation on the AVX mount, you're going to need, for the AVX mount, you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, which is the cross-tipped screwdriver. And then you're going to need to take the Allen wrench bolts out, so you'll need to have a number 5 metric Allen wrench. And then to separate the ADM dovetail bracket and the collar, you're going to need a 1/4 inch drive to take those apart. And now we'll start on taking the dovetail bracket off the AVX mount. Alright, so as you can see, here's the 4 bolts that you have to take out of the dovetail to take the head off of it. And like I say, it's the number 5 Allen wrench, metric Allen wrench. And you just unscrew all 4 of them. And then once you get those out, there's something else then there's another step that we got to do. All right. Right, once you get them loose, then you loosen the brake, and then it just lifts straight off. And then it just pulls straight out. Once you get the head off, don't wipe the grease out. Leave it there, because you want to make sure you got the grease still on it. You can kind of put the grease back in it from out of the hole. You don't want to take that grease off. You want that grease to stay there. Right, the next thing you've got to do is you have to take out the mechanism for the brake. Now, take that Phillips screwdriver that you had. Take off this screw on the end. Unscrew it. And you can pull the handle right off of it. And then you have this. So you got to unscrew this out of here, because you're going to use this brake on the new head. All right. Now that comes out, and there's a rubber cap in there. So you got to make sure that you get that rubber cap out of there as well. Right? Because that's what actually is your brake for your head. Now there is a hard plastic rubber grommet in there. You have to get underneath and get pulled up. You're going to actually use that. Now you have the ADM mounting head, and like I say, you need the 1/4 inch for the head. And you just break these bolts right here loose. And take them out. And the head just lifts, and then, like I say, it's 2 pieces. So you have the dovetail bracket itself, and then the collar that's going to go on the AMD. So what you got to do is, in here on your new one, take your brake, put your cap in the hole, right here, right, and then screw this back into it. Now, don't necessarily want to put this on until after you get it on the mount, because you got to make sure that whenever you put this on, that it's not, you don't push it down too far that it gets in the way of the head when it rotates around, or you'll hit it and stop rotating the deck head, and you don't want that to happen. We will put the dovetail on, or the collar for the head on, right? And we'll go ahead and tighten it down hand tight. And then you'll use the same 4 screws you took out of the AVX mount and put those back into the 4 holes back into the mount. Make sure that you should always start the bolts with your fingers. And once you know they're good and started, then you can use your tool. Because if you don't you want to make sure you don't cross thread them. So you go back with the same number 5 Allen wrench. Tighten it back down. Tighten those 4 screws, those 4 bolts back down on the head. One thing you might want to do is whenever you're doing them, do them across from each other first. Don't just go around in a circle. So that way it kind of pulls it down evenly from front to back and side to side. So go ahead and tighten it down a little bit, snugger. And then if you see the inside of this has got teeth around it, can you see that? And each corner, each tooth is going to fit in the corner. So you want to make sure that, and since you have a stop up here but you don't have a stop down here, you want to make sure that you're not down like this, because once it's locked into place and it starts to rotate, if it's locked too tight, it's going to stop the deck from rotating. I guess that's the deck. I can't remember if that's the deck or the RA, to be honest with you. Anybody want to chime in? Tell me what I'm saying wrong. So you don't want to make sure when it's tight, see how it's so tight, and then that thing rolls around, it's going to be over here. So when it's tight, you want to make sure it's going to be up above the, as it rotates around. And you still have plenty of room to unlock it here. So if you want to, you can actually rotate it around to here and then tighten it up. And that way you know here that you've got clearance. So once you get it in the right spot, you grab your Phillips screwdriver and that original little screw that you took out of here to begin with. And screw it back together. Alright, so what we do next is we attach the dovetail bracket back to the head by top and the bottom screw holes, and those are the ones that line up with the two holes here. I guess it's better if you line them up before you put them in so you can see what you're doing. The bottom one. And you just tighten those back down. Swapped out the saddle bracket from a single dovetail Vixen style to a dual dovetail Vixen and CGE dovetail bracket. And we're ready to go. All right, so now that we've got that in place, I can now mount the tube on my tripod. And voila! No hands, look, on, no hands. Now I'm ready for this weekend. I hope you found this video interesting, and hopefully it has some information that you may want on it. And anyway, clear skies and happy viewing.